Money never follows whining, complaining, griping, stuck. This morning, I'm saying, what can I do right now? I need to do something. I need to do something. What can I do? It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I can prospect. Everything I do is intentional. It's like, I'm gonna hit this number every single day. I'm gonna go this distance every day. And amateurs listen to their feelings. Professionals do not listen to their feelings. See, I have an 8,000 square foot lodge, 35 minutes from here, that is not activated the way I want it to. Sits on 27 acres. I want to rent it. I want to keep it activated. I have a greatness factory. That's an $8 million building, 0.7 miles from here. The theater in that greatness factory could generate $840,000 a year in income to me. Just the theater, if it's activated. Everybody hear that word? How many of you have deactivated assets right now that you need to activate? Nothing happens until it is activated. So I write this book, and I'm like, I don't have any idea what to do with this book. And one day I get a phone call, and they say, oh, man, we want you to come speak, and it's Dell Computers. And I go to Dell Computers, and I speak for 1 hour. Now, listen to what I'm saying. I've got a skill. I'm solving a problem. I have chosen a vehicle to distribute these skills. And that is, at that time, being a high school basketball coach. I have a skill that is a valuable skill. I have a problem that I'm solving because money changes hands when problems are solved. I am distributing my skills through the distribution channel of being a high school coach. All they can pay me is about $26,000 a year. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment, $119,000. They couldn't give me any more money, no matter how many games I won, no matter how many championships I won. And the principal came to me one day and he said, man, we don't ever want you to go anywhere. We don't ever want you to leave, but we don't have any more money to give you. He said, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let you take the driver's ed car home as a courtesy car. He said, now don't tell the other teachers that we're gonna give you this car. And I'm like, what? Like, I get a courtesy car? So the kids would drive the car during the day. It was a 94 Bonneville. Then at the end of the day, they would drive the car back over to my office. I would take the car home. I thought I was somebody, man. I got a courtesy car. I'm making $26,000 a year. I'm working 80 hours a week. I'm winning games, right? And then people would get in my car and they'd say, bro, what's up with the brake in the passenger side? And I say, man, it's just how they make these 94 Bonnevilles, man. It's a special edition, right? Because they didn't have any more money to give me. So at 25 years old, I write this little book. I go over to Dell Computers and I speak for 1 hour at Dell Computers. And when I was finished speaking, because I got a skill, we're gonna hammer this home today. I got a valuable skill. What is your primary skill? What's the biggest problem you can solve with that skill? What is the vehicle you want to distribute that skill through that would pay you the most money? I got a skill, I got a problem, I got a vehicle. So at 25 years old, I go speak at Dell Computers, and I do go 1 hour, and then I'm finished. And I'm like, all right, I'm out of here, man, thanks. I got to get back to my team. I love coaching these kids. And they're like, we want you to come back. And I'm like, man, I don't want to come back and coach adults, because adults are just big kids, okay? And they whine, and they complain, and they can't, right? They don't prospect like they should, and they don't follow up like they should, and they got bad attitudes, and why do I want to do this? And he's like, man, we're Dell Computers. Will you come back? And I'm like, look, brother, I'm not interested. I love coaching these kids. And we got in a little bit of an argument. And he said, man, we're Dell Computers, one of the biggest companies in the world. And he said, fine, forget it. And he reaches in his pocket and he hands me an envelope. And I open up that envelope and it's more in an hour than I made in a month. I'm working 320 hours over here. I go and in 1 hour make more than I made in an entire month. Everybody see that? I got a skill. I've got a new problem. I'm looking at the vehicle. What do you think I said then? I go, man, I love these kids, but surely somebody else will love these damn kids like I do. Like, I know somebody will love these kids as much as I love these kids, right? But the truth is, I stayed 6 more years. Because at 22 years old, when I got that job, I promised my boss that I would not leave until I brought him a championship. And he took a chance on me when nobody had to take a chance on me. How many have a person in their life that took a chance on you when they didn't have to take a chance on you? And you made a commitment to that person. And so I would not leave until I won a championship that took me 9 years to win, to fulfill a promise I made to my boss at 22 years old for giving me an opportunity. But at 25 years old, when I hear this now I've figured out, man, maybe there's a bigger table for me Maybe I have a skill, and maybe there's a bigger problem I could solve, and maybe there's a different vehicle I could distribute this skill, because I just made more in 1 hour than I made in 320 hours. And I went home that night and I Googled, okay, what skill do I have? This is a question I want you to know. What skill do I have? We could ask ChatGPT today, but this was like many years ago, right? And so I Googled coaches that speak. Like, who are coaches out in the world that are speaking right now? And it was Lou Holtz. And Lou Holtz was at the University of Notre Dame. Y'all remember Lou Holtz? And he was the head coach of the Irish, and he was writing books. And I looked down in the corner, it said speaking fee, $100,000. And I go, I can do this? Now, this is a big part of the presentation, because many of you would look at that, and here's what you would say to yourself. Well, I'm not Lou Holtz. Well, I'm not at Notre Dame. Do you know it took me 18 books to write a Wall Street Journal bestseller? You know the only difference between my first major published book and the 18th book, the one that hit the Wall Street Journal list? I made a simple decision. I'm tired of emulating other people. I'm tired of reading other people's books that hit this list, and they're not any better than I am. I'm going to quit emulating these people, and I'm going to become one of these people. Everybody with me? You come to these things and you watch people on stage and you're sitting there. Before I spoke at 10X, I paid for a ticket at 10X, and I sat in the back and I watched all the great speakers, and I go, man, I'm good enough to do that. I could be up there on that stage, man. This is a decision you got to make. And so I quit emulating these people, and I said, I'm going to become one of these people. I can do this. I made a simple decision. I made a decision to kill something off. So on book 18, I called Ed Mylett, and I said, who launched your book? He said, Rory Vaden. I said, okay. I picked up the phone right then. I took an action. Hey, Rory, I need to work with Rory. He's not available. I said, you tell him Coach Burt wants to work with him. I get a call back. He's available. How much is it going to cost me? 18 grand for 3 hours. I'm going to get in a room. I'm going to learn 5 strategies. We sit in a little conference room. He wrote them on a board. This is exactly how we hit the list. This is the game you got to play. Okay, thank you. I took the 18 grand, gave it to him, went back and executed the strategies, and hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller list with the book. But more importantly, I generated 10,000 leads for my business with that book. Does everybody see that? So was the 18 grand investment worth it? Yes or no? Yes. Now I have a perpetuating skill. Now I can use that skill for the rest of my life. Now I know how to hit that list. Now I know how to generate thousands of leads with the book. And it cost me 18 grand, but I didn't spend it, I invested it. So around 31 years old, I retire from being a basketball coach, and I start a coaching business. Now, nobody set me down 17 years ago and said, this is going to be a hard business. You're going to have to travel all over the world. You're going to be away from your kids. You can make great money, but it's going to be a hard vehicle. Nobody said, can you scale it? Can you multiply it? Can you exit it? How hard is it to get to $10 million? How hard is it to get to $25 million? I just go, I am now in a better vehicle than that vehicle. Did everybody see that? Now I can make more money in a day than I could an entire year. Now this is getting me a seat at a much bigger table. I have a skill. That skill was developed over a long cycle of time. If you study great people, Tiger Woods was on a golf course at 7 months old. Mozart was playing music at 2. You come to Nashville, I remember seeing Taylor Swift sing in the stadium over here to 55,000 people when she was 13. And I elbowed my buddy and I go, man, I don't know if she's good enough to make it, man. Many years later, I took my daughter back to Kansas City to watch her in front of 55,000 people. I paid $3,500 for the tickets. That night, she played in front of 55,000 customers. I want you to listen to me. She generated $13 million that night. She turned around and did it again the next night for 13 more million. She turned around and did it the next night for 13 million. At the end of that, I asked my daughter, what did you learn? My 12-year-old daughter, you know what she said? I want to do something bigger, Dad. Was it worth $3,500 for my daughter to see something that big and go, I want to do something big, yes or no? The most viral video I've ever done was me talking about taking my daughter to that Taylor Swift concert. It got millions and millions of views when I talked about that. You're a terrible father. Why would you take her? Why would you spend that much money on a ticket? No, I went to see somebody generate $13 million with 55,000 people in one night. That's what I went to see. I wanted my daughter to see something big. So when you think about the big table for you, I want you to think about this. There is a seat for you at a bigger table, but you got to start asking this question. So let's fast forward just a little bit. So from 31 to 41, I'm building a coaching business. I'm speaking 200 times a year. I'm coaching some of the top people in the world, in every industry, and I'm helping them get to a much bigger place in their life. And then one day, I'm sitting at a workshop around 41 years old, and I'm listening to this guy who's a former Vietnam veteran, and he's talking about this concept called prey drive. Prey drive is your instinct to pursue. It is your instinctual ability to see something with the eyes or in the mind and to pursue it. An animal has a prey drive. It is the animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. I see that and I go, humans have a prey drive. It is their ability to see something with the eyes or in the mind and to pursue it with a persistence and an intensity. I called my intellectual property attorney. I said, I want to trademark those two words, and I'm going to become the leading expert in the world at activating that drive inside of people. That is a concept, prey drive. I'm coaching people. And then one day, I'm sitting here at my office, and I'm listening to an interview. And the interview is with Lewis Howes and a guy named Dr. Price Pritchett. And Pritchett wrote a book called U Squared, The Quantum Leap Strategy. If I had to recommend a book outside of mine, I'd recommend that. And it's about how you experience a significant jump in something. And I'm kind of grinding it out. How many of you are grinders and you just grind it out? And you just show a little bit of growth. And you get back to the same point year after year. And it's like, I'm so sick and tired of getting back to the same place year after year after year. I can't work any harder. I need to try differently. And I'm listening to this interview, and Lewis Howes like, what is the quantum leap? And he's talking about how most people have incremental growth year over year over year. And then he says this, I'm a psychologist. I went into mergers and acquisitions. I went into mergers and acquisitions because that was the biggest game in business. That was the big table. And he said, I'd be coaching Company A, and Company A is doing $500 million. They're showing 7% growth year over year. I'd be working with Company B, that's a $500 million company. They're showing 7% growth year over year. Can we call that incremental growth? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Then all of a sudden, Company A would go over and purchase Company C. And he said, just like this, it would be $1 billion company. And that fascinated me. And when he said those two words, the big table, that was a trigger moment in my life. And I go, what is the big table for me? I want to ask you that question. What is the big table for you? And if you're showing incremental growth year over year, is it through partnership? Is it through some type of merger or acquisition? Is it through something that catapults you to a much bigger level? And when he said that, I go, that's my next big concept. That's going to be my next big book. How to help people get a seat at a much bigger table. So I want you to look at the person beside you, and we're just going to do a short exercise here, and I want you to ask them this question. Okay? First question, how many drinks did you have last night? No, I'm just kidding. How long did you stay at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge last night? I want you to ask him a serious question. What is your primary skill? Now, let me preface this. 9 out of 10 people cannot tell me their skill. There's no classes. I went to college for 9 years to get 3 degrees. I had 0 class in how to find my primary skill, how to package that skill, how to market that skill, how to monetize that skill. When I ask most people what their primary skill is, they cannot tell me, right? And I go back to the parable of the talents in the Bible. The master gave each person a talent. A talent in the Bible was a sum of money. Each talent had a certain value. So it'd be like me giving you a sum of money based on your ability and saying, go do something with it and bring it back with interest. And me giving you some money, based on your ability, me giving you some money based on your ability. And when the people that did something good with it and brought it back, the master said, well done, good and faithful servant. You have done much with a little, and I'm going to give you some more. Does that sound like opportunity happens in our world? Yes or no? Yes. You have an ability. You use that ability. At first, I was using it to be a basketball coach. Then I used it to be a author, coach, speaker, built a multi-million-dollar coaching company. Now, over the last year, I've raised about $30 million for 3 different companies. I'm on the board of directors of a publicly traded company. Now I'm building real estate. Now I'm buying real estate. Look at how I'm using the same skill over and over and over in different vehicles. I can't cook. I am geographically illiterate. I cannot fix a car. I was raised by a single mom who had me when she was 16. She didn't teach me a lot of things that a dad would teach me. So there's things that I am so terrible at. But when I found my skill and I go, man, I have a hard skill. I can activate people. I can activate a brand. I can activate a business. I can activate a person. See, at first it was in this little vehicle over here, coaching basketball, and all they could pay me, at my peak, I made $55,000. And then over here, I said, man, I could speak and activate companies. And then I said, man, I could raise capital. Man, I could buy real estate with this skill. Man, I could do this with this skill. Now I'm taking equity in companies because I can come in and activate a brand. Now I'm helping companies exit their companies and getting a percentage where I can make a lot more money on the back end than I did the front end. And these are multi-million-dollar deals, not small deals. And I'm using the same skill over and over and over. The skill does not change no matter where I take it. Everybody with me? I'm just taking it to a bigger vehicle. And this vehicle can get me there because you can't drive to Hawaii, folks. You can fly, you can take a boat, but you can't drive there. So the vehicle you're choosing, if it's short-term rentals, this is the vehicle you're choosing to distribute your talents. I watch Bill. I watch him and his wife go take these places and transform them. So what is the real skill there? Is it the acquisition of the properties? Is it the value creation of the properties? Is it the marketing of the properties? I want you to think for a second, this is my primary skill. And that skill is incredibly valuable. And there are people out there who would pay a lot of money for that skill. But if you don't know that skill, then you never get a seat at a bigger table because you can't get this formula right that I'm teaching you today. Skill, problem, vehicle. Tell the person beside you what you think your primary skill is in 30 seconds. Tell them right now. All right, 30 seconds. Let me ask you a question. I want you to watch. I want you to watch how I do this. What if you could sum your skill up in one word? My skill is activation. I activate a boldness inside of people. I activate an imagination inside of people. I activate a monetization inside of people. See, I was raised by a mom that was a nurse. My dad, which I really didn't know growing up, worked in a factory. I had no entrepreneurial spirit in my family until I went to my great-grandfather's funeral. When I went to my great-grandfather's funeral, they asked me to read some of the eulogy. To read the eulogy, I had to go back and look at his life and his history and what he did, and he was on the school board. I'm like, man, there's where the teacher came in. And he built things, and he sold things, and he had an incredible entrepreneurial spirit. And he was a true entrepreneur that took risk and put his own money into things. And I never knew until I gave that eulogy of my great-grandfather all the cool things he did in his life. And it came right down through my family line to me. And I go, that's where all these things came from. I have a talent. And I can use that skill and talent to do something much bigger. And mine is activation. It's one word. But look at how many ways I could use it. I've activated over $30 million for 3 different companies this year in raising capital. And I didn't even know I could raise capital. A guy came to me and said, will you help me raise capital for this multifamily deal? It's a $48 million deal. I'll give you a GP position on the deal if you just help us. And I did one event and sent out one email and I raised $600,000. And I go, what just happened? Like, I think I could do this. And then another company came to me and said, man, will you be on the board of directors and we'll give you stock in the company. That stock last week went up $1.4 million in one day. It's up 9 times since I got on the board of directors of that company called Safe Space. And that's how you have $1 million day. Not $1 million year. How many years as a basketball coach would it take me to make $1 million? My whole friggin' life. Now I'm interested in multi-million-dollar days. Using the same skill just to solve a different problem in a bigger vehicle. So I want to get you to where you can say, this is my skill, man. I have a skill of activation. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. But man, I can do this. And this is one thing is where I can win. This is where I can beat people. This is where the competitive advantage comes from. So how many of you struggled with identifying your skill? Raise your hand, please. Just think about that. Look around the room. No classes in this growing up. None. Zero. So when you think about this one day, what happened really at that day with me watching that Pritchett video is there was a trigger. And the trigger basically did this. If you go to the PowerPoint, please. The trigger basically said to me, it's like, boom, okay? It's like, what is the biggest game in business? For you, what is the biggest game in business? Is it putting your portfolio together and exiting? Is it finding bigger properties? Is it activating an asset that you currently have that's deactivated? See, if you were coaching me and I told you that I could generate $840,000 a year with one theater that seats 109 people, if I just rented it 3 days a week at $7,500, if I were paying you to coach me, you would say, go find that person who could rent that theater. Yes or no? And out of millions of people in Nashville, they're here. But you would actually tell me, take an action. Make a post on social media, run an ad, talk to your network, go out into the market and find people. Like you would coach me to quit talking about it and do something about it. Yes or no? See, some of you don't know how to market your properties and you go, man, I just don't know how to do it. I wish I could do it like Bill does it, or I wish I could do it like, Pace Morby does it, or I wish I could do it like so-and-so does it. When in doubt, I take an action. Do you know what I was doing at 6 a.m. this morning? Walking around Nashville. You know what I was doing? Prospecting. At 6. Texting people, good morning. Because I follow up 7 to 15 times on opportunity. Good morning, it's Coach Burt. I'm speaking at this big conference, man. We're doing big things today. When I don't know what to do, I do something. Everybody see that? The trigger that day said, hey, what is the biggest game in business? To get a seat at a bigger table, we actually reverse engineer this. And we start from the end and we work backwards. That's the Covey in me. And it's like, what is the end for me? So there was a trigger moment. And here's really what I figured out. I figured out, man, I'm an 8-figure person stuck in a 6-figure vehicle. I actually wrote a book called this, 8-figure skills stuck in 6-figure vehicles. Now, how many of you think you're drastically undercapitalized right now? And you look at other people and you're like, man, I'm as good as that dude is, or I'm as good as she is, and I should be on that stage, and I could do these things. And you're out there looking at it, and so what I did is I deconstructed it, okay? God gave me the ability to take a complex concept, deconstruct that concept, codify that concept, and then package that concept, and then sell that concept. And we've sold concepts for about $40 million over the last X number of years. Me taking a concept, deconstructing the concept, packaging the concept, marketing the concept, okay? And so here is the thing we're working on today. 1, what is your primary skill? Number 2, what is the biggest problem that you could solve? Because money changes hands when problems are solved. What did I really figure out at 25 years old? Dale needed to keep their people motivated. I had the skill and gift of activating people. They would pay me more money over here than they would over here. Everybody see that revelation I had? I could do this, okay? So money changes hands when problems are solved. If I don't know my primary skill, I can't package the skill. I can't market the skill. I can't monetize the skill. So some of you don't have a talent problem. You got a marketing problem. You got a boldness problem. You got a confidence problem. You got a skill problem. So here's what I figured out. I'm an 8-figure person stuck in a 6-figure vehicle. Now, I want you to tell the person beside you, what's the biggest problem that you could solve where they would compensate you at the absolute highest level? Now, I have a young lady on my team here. Jana, where's Jana at? Jana Creel. She's former Navy Intel analyst. Her job was to do intel on people, typically bad people. When she got out of the military, she could not get a job. Nobody would hire her. She's been highly trained. She's had to get up every day. She's had somebody yelling at her every day. She's had to take a 1-minute shower. She's had to get focused. She's tough as nails. But when she got out of the military, nobody would hire her. She had to drive Uber. She had to work in a daycare. She had to do 911 dispatch. One day she made a simple decision to change her life. She saw me. I was doing an event with Brad Lee. She saw the event with Brad Lee. She goes, who's that little bald-headed dude? She signed up for my coaching. Do you know that when I started coaching her, she couldn't look up on a Zoom? life, trauma, military, hardship, winning, losing. And I started to call on her because I noticed she showed up every single week. I said, Jana, need you to get your head up, answer the question for me, please. She starts answering. She reads all 22 of my books. She watches every video. One night I'm coaching at the Greatness Factory down there, and I look over to my left, and she's standing there. She had driven 18 hours from Houston, Texas. Nothing but the clothes on her back and a bag of clothes in her car. And I said, what are you doing here? She said, I'm showing up to work. I'm ready to go pro. I'm ready to leave my amateur desires behind. Do you know, since that decision, to make that decision, to find her true skill, to solve a bigger problem, she's now driving a nice car, BMW. She's now got an incredible condo in Nashville. She's now helping me with all the companies that I run because she made a simple decision. And I found her. She's standing right over there in the corner. Y'all give her a hand. There she is right there. How could a person that's highly trained in the military that knows how to do this not be able to get a job? And I said, this is your skill. This is the problem that you could solve for me. I want you to help integrate all the companies that I run. I'm going to find a way for you to make money, improve your life, and do better. I need your skill. I saw something in her, and I gave her the confidence, and she made the decision. So look at this formula. I got a skill. I got a problem. I said, I want to use that Navy intel, that background. I want to use that. I need integration. I need somebody to do deep analysis on things. I need people to look at the opportunities I get. I need somebody to tell me if this is a good opportunity or a bad opportunity. Okay? So tell the person beside you, what's the biggest problem that you think you could solve, where people would pay you the most money to solve that problem? 30 seconds. Tell them right now. I got problems just like you got problems. Money changes hands. I write books. If you come to me and say, man, I could sell $10 million worth of your books. I'd like to keep 50% of it. I'd say, let's do it. Hey, I'd like to become this for you. Let's do it. I'm open. Use your skill to solve my problem. Money changes hands when problems are solved. You look at any major thing that was created in the world, whether it be short-term rentals, Airbnb, or VRBO, or Uber, it all was created because we had a problem. Somebody took an action to solve a problem. It's that simple. If they solve a big enough problem, they get paid a lot of money. So there's bluegill problems, small problems, and there's blue marlin problems, big problems. I wake up in the morning and I go, where's the blue marlins? Where's the blue marlins? Where's the blue marlins? See, I figured out today how to create $1 million days. Stocking companies, publicly traded companies that I could help, taking a percentage of equity in companies that were already built. Right? Bigger deals, same skill, same problem, new vehicle. I want you to think this. This is the formula to the big table. Skill, problem, vehicle. Okay? Now, if you look at your vehicle right now, step 3 of the formula, can your current vehicle get you to your goals? Now, let me give an example. I've got a real estate agent I was coaching in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He was number 43 in the market. He comes to me and he said, I would like to make $500,000 a year. He's doing 35 real estate transactions a year. I go, you're never going to get there doing it the way you're currently doing it. You'll never make $500,000 the way you're currently working this business. And I said, do you like selling real estate? He said, no. Like most real estate agents that I know. They're like, I hate selling real estate. What's the problem with selling real estate? What's the problem with a real estate vehicle? All goes to zero at midnight, no recurring revenue. After you sell one house, you got to go sell another house. Hard to exit. And I've coached the big boys and the big girls. I've coached the number 1 real estate agent in the United States, male, number 1 female in the United States. I'm talking people doing 500 to 2,000 deals. The best people in the world. It ain't real estate they're great at. They're great at recruiting. They're great at marketing. They've studied funnels. They've been coached by people like Dan Kennedy. They know how to market, duplicate, sell. They don't want to sell real estate. They want to build big teams. Everybody with me? I'm talking about the people making $3 million a month, $3 million a year, $5 million a year. So when you think about it, I go to him and I go, what do you really love doing, man? He said, man, my dad died when I was young. He said, I'm rough. I'm unpolished. He said, the only person who's really been a great influence in my life was my high school football coach. He said, I was at my best when I was with that man. He said, then I found you, and you become that man. And I said, what do you really want to do? He said, I want to mentor young men who don't have a father, who are rough and unpolished, and who want to have a better life. And I go, that's how we're going to use your real estate business. You're going to put out to the market that you are now recruiting 18 to 24-year-old young men who are looking for a better life. And I'm going to coach you, and you're going to coach them. He started building this. He started getting young men, 18 to 24. He coaches them every morning at 8:30 to 10, every single day. He's like a dad to them. When they screw up, he's on them. When they do good, he's on them. When they win, he celebrates with them. He's called them throughout the whole day. He's coached them throughout the entire day. He's poured into them throughout the whole day. And the next thing you know, he goes from 35 deals. Listen to this, Bill. He goes from 35 deals to 219. He's got 22-year-old kids doing 50 real estate transactions at 22. They're making over $100,000, $150,000. And guess what? He made his $500,000 he had been looking for. And somehow figured out how to pick up a hot wife. It's amazing what happens when you got a little money in your pocket. So he came to me and he said, you changed my whole life, man. You helped me find the wife I was looking for, and you helped me get the money I was looking for. Do you know that real estate agent calls me every single morning at 7:30 a.m. to say, thank you, you changed my life. I see you're speaking at this big event. Tell me what you learned. He's one of the biggest and best learners I've ever seen. And for 15 years of his life, he was a goof-off, a screw-up, partier, messed around, had all his potential, doing 35 deals a year. Now he's doing 200 plus. He went from number 43 to number 1 in his market. He didn't change the vehicle, he tweaked the vehicle. Did everybody hear what I just said? Hey, this is Coach Micheal Burt. I'm here at the Greatness Factory today, the Level 10 podcast studio. And as you can see behind, I got new imaging. I got a new concept. The big table is a metaphor for the biggest opportunities that are available to you that you're trying to work toward in your life. We're going to go to work on activating 3 parts of your nature. You first, that's science of winning. That's habits of the top 1%. That's the language that we use every single day. That's the activation of prey drive. That's the A to B exercise that we do. And then we're going to go to work on your business. And the business is got these 6 core components, right? The activation of your team's prey drive, the explanation of value, the lead generation system, the follow-up and conversion, the engagement after the sale. We then move to activating your wealth. 8-figure people stuck in 6-figure vehicles. How do we expose you to some of the best thought leaders in the world as it relates to what's going on in the market, how to make investments, how to raise capital, and put all this together, folks, and we are getting a seat at a much bigger table. I'm Coach Micheal Burt. I can't wait for you to see this podcast. It's called The Big Table. We're going to help you secure your seat there. Follow along, engage with me, hit that subscribe button. If you are in a vehicle that cannot get you to where you want to go, you can torch it, which means I'm burning it down. You can tweak it, which means I'm just strategically repositioning this. Or I am using it. What if I told you from the $30 million I've raised over the last year, remember I started off raising capital, doing one multifamily deal, raising 600 grand. Then I'm like, I got a new muscle. What if I told you most of those people came from my coaching company? The one that's hard to run. The one that puts me on the road. What if I told you that because I've showed up for 17 years for people, they go, I can trust that dude. He shows up every morning. He's consistent. He's reliable. He does what he says he's going to do. What if I told you when I go, now I've got these investments where people can invest with me, they go, I'm in. So the bigger opportunity was there. I just had to do what? Tweak the vehicle just a little bit. Then the coaching company's like, oh, the coaching company, I could do that in my sleep. I've been doing it since I was 15 years old. This is the big table. Skill, problem, vehicle. So number 1 was a trigger event. When we look at the big table formula, then we got to get to the formula, which we've been talking about. Now let's move to the influence, because this is a very important part of the equation. Bill asked me to speak a little bit on a book I wrote many years ago called Person of Interest. Smallest book I've ever written that actually sold some of the most copies. It's less than 5,000 words. It's about how you build reputational capital so that you can be real capital. Now, how many of you at some point think you want to raise some capital and do bigger deals? How many of you think you're going to need to do this? Okay, so people come to me and they say, man, you raised that much money? Can you raise money? I'm now getting major resorts coming to me saying, hey, we'll give you a piece of equity, because I've always wanted to own a resort. I'll always write on my little vision board, one day I'm doing retreats at my own resorts. I'm talking the golf courses, and then they're in the mountains. And for years I would write up, I own a resort. I'm doing this. I'm doing my events at some of the most prestigious places in the country. And not long ago, just a few weeks ago, I got an email from a guy. He said, man, we got this 5-star resort up in the mountains, and we'd really like for you to help us raise $20 million. And if you could, we're going to give you a piece of equity, and then we're going to roll it up and sell it at a high multiple. And I go, there's that resort I've always wanted to own. Did everybody see that? Using the same skill that I had. Here's what he said. He was watching me on social media. He said, man, I watch you show up every day. I see you do these videos. I'm watching you on TikTok and LinkedIn and YouTube. He said, I like your skill. I believe in what you're doing. He said, I want to be in partnership with you. Here's what he said. I just sold my company for $200 million. I'm playing some new games. He's like, I need a young firecracker like you. I need a little bald-headed pit bull like you. I'm like, I'm open for business. Here's the deal. Do you know why that opportunity came in? Because of the skill. Now, when you think about becoming a person of interest, how do you become known in the world? There's 4 things you got to do to build up your reputational capital. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write these 4 things down. Number 1, you got to have a clear message. My message right now is everybody deserves a seat at a much bigger table. You are highly talented yet undercapitalized. I talk about that message. I do morning message. I send out a morning message every morning to about 550 people at 7:15 a.m. every morning. Right? Talking about it. Hey man, you deserve a seat at a bigger table. We're highly talented. I'm doing Facebook videos this morning walking around Nashville. I got a message. Without a message, I can't align with you. I can't figure out. People do business with other people who believe the same things they do. I don't know what you believe until you tell me. So when you have a clear message, then you move into a big mission. And the mission has got to be big enough that other people want to fit into that. We're doing things together. We got a big mission. We're going to a bigger place. It's not just about you. It's about, I got a mission to help 1 million people. Why does Tony Robbins want to feed, millions of people at Thanksgiving? It's because when he was young, they were poor. A guy showed up on Thanksgiving to feed his family, and his dad was too stubborn to accept the food. We don't want your charity around here. And he slammed the door in the guy's face. And they didn't have Thanksgiving meal. And he said, at some point, I'm going to go do something big, and I'm going to feed millions of people at Thanksgiving who don't have a Thanksgiving meal. That's called a because goal. That's a big mission. It's not finding your why. Okay, a lot of people think you got to find your why to do something big. In one of my books, I wrote, Screw Your Why. I know we're in the South. It sounded like screw your wife, but here's the deal. I don't think you got to find your why to do something big. I do think you got to find your because goals. Because my dad wasn't there when I was young, he's not a bad person. He just didn't know how to be a good dad. Because of that, I want to be a good dad to my 3 kids. Everybody with me? When I put my kids in the car in the morning to go to school, I look at my 3-year-old daughter, Emmeline Rose, and I go, energy in motion. Money follows energy in motion. And she looks at me and she goes, energy in motion, energy in motion. Then I look at my son, Elias, and I go, you're the best son in the world. He don't understand why I'm saying that to him, but I didn't have a dad that put me in bed at night and who said, you're the best son in the world. It's important for me to tell my son, you're the best son in the world. You're going to do something big today, son. I believe in you. And then I look at my 12-year-old daughter who's a cheerleader. Imagine that. I was a basketball coach and she became a cheerleader. And I look at her and I say, we're going to do something big today, sweetheart. And she said, we're going to go pro today, Daddy, because the amateurs ain't never going to make it. I want you to think about this. These are what you call because goals. I do this because of this. I prospect 2 hours a day because that's what I need to be doing. I follow up 7 touches on opportunity because that's what the pros do. I engage with people every day because that's what the top 1% do. It's not finding my why. It's my because goals. I do this because of this. I got a big mission. I want to help a lot of people. I push that out to the marketplace. Some of you wake up and you're trying to get through your day and sell your property and do your thing. And see, Bill's thinking, how do I help thousands of people? Not how do I help 2 people or how do I help myself? Lose yourself in other people's dreams. And other people go, I like that. I've been around the best people in the world. All the people that you've studied. I've been on stages with all of them. I've been backstage with them. They've come to the Greatness Factory. I know which ones have got the right heart. So number 2 is you got a big mission. Number 3, I got a lot of movement. I got a lot of movement. I am moving and circulating. Money follows energy. Money follows movement. Money follows circulation. I have 35 to 57 touches per day. Every day. Who am I touching? Current clients, past clients, strategic partners. When in doubt, I take an action. So when you're thinking about it, people of interest are moving. They're circulating. They're going out into the universe. They're not stagnant. Money never follows whining, complaining, griping, stuck. This morning, I'm saying, what can I do right now? I need to do something. I need to do something. What can I do? It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I can prospect. Because I'm coming to be with you today. I'm doing a breakout this afternoon at 1 o'clock where I actually break down exactly how I get these touches, how I move and circulate. It's not random. Everything I do is intentional. It's like I'm going to hit this number every single day. I'm going to go this distance every day. And amateurs listen to their feelings. Professionals do not listen to their feelings. So number 3, I got a lot of movement. And number 4, and this is where I could help a lot of you, is I am very skilled at monetization, which is converting movement to money. Everybody with me? Okay? And once I figured out I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, I use the same skill. So I can help people monetize their skills. Okay? And I've done that in the coaching business, like I said, for millions of dollars, but in the real estate business for millions of dollars, and now in the raising a capital business of millions of dollars. And guess where that came from? My great-grandfather. They came right down to me. So when you're looking at your life, I want you to tell the person beside you, out of those 4 things, to become a person of interest. This is a person that is known. You know what I love about Nashville? Go down to Broadway and sit there in the middle of a day and watch an artist sing their heart out to make $40 in tips for a shot that maybe somebody will see them and they become famous. I've coached some of those artists. Some of them go from making $40 a day just 100 yards across the street to playing at Bridgestone Arena. And they go from $40 a day to $400,000 a night. Same artist. One of them's over here playing at Tootsie's. The next couple years are playing at Bridgestone. And you could go back and watch videos of Eric Church playing at Tin Cup on Demumbrium to 200 people with that fire and that passion that he has today. And then I could go see him at Nissan Stadium playing to 55,000 people for 4 hours, people standing and screaming and going right back with him for 4 straight hours. And I go, man, that dude was playing at Demumbrium in 2007 to 200 people. Bill and I did a workshop one night that 4 people showed up at. I've done workshops that 2 people showed up at and signed $400,000 contracts from 2 people that showed up. So tell the person beside you, are you not clear on the message? Are you not clear on the mission? Do you not have enough movement? Or are you struggling with monetization? Because those are 1 of 4 areas that I would be able to help you. Tell the person beside you right now where your missing structure is. Okay, look at what a good coach will do. A good coach will find and feel your missing structure. How many of you figured out what your problem is right there? How many in this talk you already figured out? Skill, problem, vehicle. Got a problem in one of those areas? Raise your hand, please. How many of you have figured out that your problem is your mission, your message ain't clear? Your mission ain't big enough. Your movement ain't enough. We're talking about going pro here, folks. We're talking about making the pro money. Amateurs play on Friday night. Amateurs play on Saturday. The pros play on Sunday. And all some of you are missing is a great coach to go, man, you don't have a talent problem. You got a packaging problem. You got a marketing problem. You got a movement problem. You're trying to make it through the day. We're trying to figure out how to make $1 million today. This is the difference here. right? Even as a young basketball coach, I go, man, I could do it big. I want to be on a big stage. I want to be doing something bigger. I need to write books. I need to be like Lou Holtz. I need to move and circulate. Whatever he's doing, I'm doing. That's what you should be thinking. People that you see on these stages, you should go, what is she doing? I need to be doing that. So when you think about that, I took reputational capital, 17 years of building a coaching business, which was hard. It was a grind. It was on the road. It was rough. It was an emotional tax. And then I'm going to show you right here how I converted that into real estate deals, how I converted it into raising capital. So the first thing is this. I mentioned the Greatness Factory. This is where my Greatness Factory is in downtown Nashville. It's 0.7 miles from here. 2016, God gave me a vision. Said, you build Greatness Factories for kids, now build them for adults. Took me 8 years and $8 million to build this. I failed 4 times. Paid $100,000 for the plans. Going to do it in another city. The city wouldn't pass it. You know what they said? It was too modern. Make it look like the other buildings. That's what they told me. I said, bro, it ain't the Complacency Factory. It's the Greatness Factory. When you walk in the Greatness Factory, Sean Whalen was there yesterday. You know who created Lines Not Sheep, built that into a $30 million brand? That's who was there yesterday doing a podcast with me. People from all over the world. Dan Martell has been there. Bill Faith has been there. Brad Lee was there last week with me. Anybody that you follow has been to that Greatness Factory. Because when they come to Nashville, they want to come here. Let's do a podcast together. Let's do an event together. Let's do a meet and greet here. It's where Bill Faith and I sat and had a podcast one day, and he said, man, I want you to speak at my conference. I want to do bigger things with you. Okay, good. It all started here. Do you know that by building this building, we have sourced over $200 million worth of deals in 1 year by building this building? It's 8,000 square foot. It's in the 505. I tried this once before, and I got kicked out of the building. The landlord kicked me out after I did one event. Said the other tenants don't like you. Said you got too much energy. I said, Complacency Factory. You know what I said? I'm out. I had already bought $250,000 worth of furniture for that place. And I got kicked out of the building after one event. You know what I said? You know the lesson? Never place your destiny in somebody else's hands. I ain't a tenant anymore. I'm going to own the building because I ain't kicking myself out. Everybody with me? That was the big lesson. So I built this Greatness Factory. There's me and Brad Lee there a few weeks ago doing whiskey and wisdom. Then I come up with all these cool concepts. Man, I'm going to do a night called Whiskey and Wisdom. And if they drink enough whiskey, they won't even remember the wisdom. But here's the deal. It'll make the coaching better. Because people don't want education. They want edutainment. They want a little bit of education and a lot of fun. Yes or no? So let's quit fighting and let's give them what they want. Let's just give them what they want, okay? So we did Whiskey and Wisdom there. So I come up with a concept and I go, okay, how do I get people to this thing? Okay, I'm going to have a night called Whiskey and Wisdom. Then I'm going to create a day. I'm going to teach on person of interest. Then I'm going to have a membership. And it's going to be like a country club. And it's $4,500, $397 a month, all access. Give them access to everything. Because what do I ultimately want? 500 members. If you ever study networks, the network is exponentially grown by each individual participant that is added to the network. Yes or no? Where did the $200 million worth of deals come from? It came from the network. Do you know it's where we started raising capital? People come to me and said, let's do this. Let's get involved in these data centers. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, first I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I mean, that's data. It's not sexy. It's not interesting. And Jana, my military intel person, says, take another look at this, coach. And I went back and looked at it. And I said, we can buy the racks of data. We can ship them to a secure data center. There's more demand than there is supply. The rents kick off the distributions. And I went out and raised $16 million first time for that. It all started right here in this place. So when you think about it, what I've used real estate for is I built a business with a skill. I solved a problem. I got compensated for the problem. I stacked the money away. And then I went and bought $25 million worth of real estate. Then I used the real estate to bring people in, because you don't need more money, you need more people, to exchange, right? So what you would see is me using real estate. There's our lodge. Bought this lodge for $1.3 million. It appraised last week at $2.6 million. 8,000 square foot, sits on 27 acres. Take my kids out there and ride the Polaris on Sunday afternoons. What if I told you I put $293,000 down to purchase this? And what if I told you that within the first 6 months, we generated over $500,000 in coaching from the lodge? Is that a good investment, yes or no? Yes. Bought the real estate, used the real estate to do the coaching. I like cool real estate. Why not marry my love of real estate with my love of coaching? And that is called intentional congruence. That's where everything feeds everything. The coaching business feeds the real estate business, feeds the investment business, which turns around and feeds the whole machine. Everybody see how we're doing this? Okay, so use the primary skill, solve a problem, make the money, invest in real estate. Use the real estate, bring more people to the real estate, exchange, get a seat at a bigger table, replicate the formula over and over and over and over. So we built this lodge. This is where I do some of my events. Then I go, man, let's make it fun. Why don't I buy an airplane while we're at it? 2017, I bought this jet, Hawker 400. Not for Instagram. You know why I bought it? I got tired of not being able to see my kids. I got tired of staying in hotels. I got tired of having emotional attacks. I got tired of not being able to go somewhere and come home. So I tell my team, we hit our sales goals, we fly on this. We don't hit our sales goals, we fly on Southwest. We hit our sales goals, we stay in nice hotels. We don't hit our sales goals, we stay in average hotels. Guess what I started doing with the jet? I started creating masterminds where people could fly with me. Dan Martell called me one day, he said, man, that's the coolest thing in the world. Like you're using your jet as like real estate and you're taking people with you. I typically charge between $3,500 and $5,000 per person to fly with me. We fly up to Chicago. I say, man, we're going up to Chicago tomorrow. Get on the jet with me. We meet at the airport. We're doing one on October 29th. And it's like, get on the airplane with me. Let's fly up to Chicago. Let's spend the day masterminding. I take 4 or 5 people with me. There's a kid up here that's 28 years old that's building a modular homes. That's a 20, 30, $40 million company who flew with me. I'm like, man, this dude is talented. Imagine just spending a day doing something like this. That is an extraordinary day. You know what people think when they come home? Bigger. Bigger. This is so cool to be able to do this. Now, am I using real estate? This is like real estate. Guess what I do with this jet when I'm not using it? I rent it. It's rented out today. So when I'm not using it, I use it just like real estate. It's in a charter program. It's being rented. I don't manage it. When I want to fly on it, I say, I'd like my jet 407 to be ready. I'd like to fly to Chicago on this date. They say, yes, sir, Mr. Burt. I get out there. They meet me at the thing. I get on within 7 minutes. I'm in the air. Everybody told me not to buy a jet. Here's what they say. It's too expensive. I asked them, have you ever owned a jet? They're like, no. And I'm like, why am I taking advice from you? You don't know anything about even buying one. What if I told you I had 3 other partners on this? We bought this as an asset. What if I told you I could depreciate it? What if I told you every 2 or 3 years I could trade it, sell the equity that I have, take it as a loss and trade up and get a newer one? What if I told you I could do this just like I do real estate? What if I told you that I could be in Chicago in 1 hour from Nashville or Florida in 1 hour? What if I told you I could do 3 or 4 speaking engagements in one day if I wanted to? All by owning the jet. Skill, problem, vehicle. Now, these are the 3 things we started raising capital for. I'm sitting there watching all these private equity people do this, and I'm like, gosh, man, what are they doing? They're raising capital and they're purchasing businesses. What if I started going, but I'm coaching the businesses that need to be purchased, and I actually could hand select the businesses that are profitable, that have the most EBITDA. And I could sit there and go, well, you got $1 million business or $2 million business. We could purchase this business. We could add our skill to your problem, put it through this vehicle. And we built this private equity fund called Pitch Equity that we can do 80% real estate deals, 20% buy businesses. It's an opportunity fund. And so the very first deal we did is we went down to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We bought 20% of a 131-acre deal on the water. That we bought the horizontal land that we could stay in the deal and sell it to a Marriott. And I'm like, I've always wanted to own a Marriott. How many of y'all said this before? It's like, I like to own this hotel, but I didn't want to go buy a Marriott. So I go, how do we own a hotel? Well, let's buy the land that the hotel would want. So we raised $3.5 million. We went down and we took 20% of a 131-acre deal. Ultimately, it was going to be a $1 billion deal. It was valued at like $2 million. We bought it at $1 million because right place, right time. A partner wanted to get out. So now we own 20% of a 131-acre deal on the water that we could sell to Marriott. Or we could tell Marriott, we'll sell it to you for $1 million, but we want to stay in the deal for 20%, and then I'm part of it, a Marriott. Everybody see how that happens? Same skill, different problem, new vehicle. Then one day, a couple buddies came to me and they said, man, we should really look at these data centers. And we could buy the rack of data, ship it down to Anniston, like I said. The rents there's so much demand right now. You want to own something? Own a friggin' rack of data. Do you know that when we get that rack, so think of it like buying a little apartment complex. We raise the money. For every 1.6 million we raise, we go to a company and buy the rack of data. We ship it to Anniston, Alabama. It's securely managed. We have a management company that manages it. Okay? A person puts $100,000 in, and we're giving 35% return to the investors. You're like, what? What if I told you that within 15 minutes of that data center being up, it's fully rented? That rack of data. I'm not buying the real estate. I'm actually buying the rack of data. And guess who needs to be on that rack of data? Everybody in this room. It's like buying a little apartment complex that within 15 minutes it's 100% rented. So guess what I did? I went and found the right partners who were my coaching students, and I go, I think I can raise the capital. I think you can manage it. They formed a management company. They get a management fee. We raise the capital. We don't get paid from the raising of the capital. We get paid from the distribution of the rents. What if I told you that a fund like that could kick off between $750,000 to $2.5 million a year to me by working this system? Everybody with me? Just by being the fund manager. Now, even paying the investors that much money because there's such high demand. Now, this is an investment that goes away in 7 years. In 7 years, it all goes in the trash can. Everybody see that? So it's not something you pass down. It's not like you're buying an apartment complex. You're really buying this piece of data that's going to last for 7 to 10 years, and then it all goes to zero. Now, all of this started at the Greatness Factory. Now, when you look at the third piece, go back to the slide, please. Then one day I'm speaking, because we're talking about skill, problem, vehicle. One day I'm speaking, and a company came to me called Safe Space. This is AI. AI. They're about to use it in prison systems, school systems to keep people safe. It recognized facial recognition. If a person had a gun at a school, the goal with this company is to be able to detect that the person has the gun in the parking lot. It would immediately shut the school down, notify everybody that there's a person there that shouldn't be on that campus. You with me? That's what they're doing. So they came to me and they said, we want you to be an investor in this company. And I said, okay, how much would you want? They said, well, $100,000 investment. If you want to be on the board of directors, it'd be $1 million. And I go, okay, kind of startup company, pre-revenue. I see the vision. Let me go home and think about it. But I'm speaking tomorrow. Come see me speak. And then we'll talk about it. So they came to the Greatness Factory. They're sitting on the front row like these two folks are. I speak. I'm on a roll that day. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm hitting it. I'm feeling good. When I was finished, they go, we got to meet with you right now. I go, okay. We go over to this other room and they said, forget the $1 million. We want you to be on the board of directors. And I go, what does that come with? It comes with this much stock. Today the stock's at 6 cents, pre-revenue company. I got on the board of directors at 6 cents. I got the stock at 6 cents. Yesterday it was at 90 cents. A few weeks ago it got up to $1.90. Goal is to get it to $2, uplist the company, New York Stock Exchange, ultimately get it to $10, ultimately probably sell the company, and what? Everybody gets rich. Same skill, different problem, new vehicle. Everybody follow my formula yet? I got just a few minutes. Are you with me or are you asleep? Do we need a shot of whiskey or do we need a shot of coffee? Huh? Because I will give you a shot of whiskey if it wakes you up. And we'll do whiskey and wisdom this morning. Now, let's close it out with this right here. When I started studying under Pritchett, and there's 8 minutes left. When I started studying under Dr. Price Pritchett, 82-year-old psychologist, he's my new covey. I've been looking for somebody to coach me. He doesn't coach people. He's already made a bunch of money, done over $80 million selling books. He did mergers and acquisitions. I was in Fort Worth, Texas, and I said, man, if I could just meet you and talk to you for an hour, would you take a meeting with me? First thing they're going to do is go to my website. Does he have the reputational capital? Always written 22 books, always got a greatness factory, always doing big things. Well, let's take the meeting. I bring the one thing that he loved, energy, humble, hungry, teachable, curious. And I'm sitting there taking notes, and then I say, Dr. Pritchett, it'd be an honor to work with you. Here's what he says at 82. I've been looking for a new game to play, Coach Burt. He said, draw it up and present it to me. In less than 24 hours, we had the funnel built, we had the landing page built, we had the coaching program built. It's a $30,000 coaching program that we were going to offer people to come spend a year with us. I'm going to get the coaching from him. We're going to partner on the deal. If we get 30 people, we generate what? 450 grand. We split 225 a piece, and we get to coach and I get to learn. Everybody see how we put that deal together? And I got him to do something he never does, which is actually coach people. And then when I'm in Texas, I can say, Dr. Pritchett, let's go to dinner together. He's like, I'd love that. He said, the one thing I look for in executives over every skill is their energy level. When I walk around and I look at people, your reputation walks in the door before you do. And I can tell, is your attitude indicator. See, that airplane has an attitude indicator. An attitude indicator tells you is the plane ascending, plateaued, or descending. And I asked my pilot one day, who was Reggie Jackson's pilot, I said, tell me one thing about this attitude indicator, because I'm fascinated. The attitude says I'm ascending, I'm plateaued, or I'm descending. He said, you never want it doing this. In life, every person in this room has an attitude indicator. And I can tell within the first 15 seconds when I meet people, they are going somewhere, they have plateaued, they're stuck, static, bored, or they're descending. There are only 3 states of energy. That energy is dynamic, it is static, or it is entropic. You are alive and vibrant. You are stuck and plateaued, or you're dying. The minute a plant stops growing, it starts dying. You're here for one reason: to get alive, to be vibrant, to find your skill, to find the vehicle, to solve a problem, to go do something bigger in the world. You didn't come here to stay here. Yes or no? You didn't come to Nashville to stay where you are. You came to Nashville to meet some of the best people in the world, some of the top 1% people in the world. But it is of no value if you don't meet them, if you don't talk to them. Your raising capital could be right here. Your next big deal could be right here. You're just one person away from changing your life. When Cardone put me on stage at 10X, do you know we signed up more customers in 1 hour than I'd signed up in the first almost 5 years? Do you know that we made almost $2 million from me speaking on that stage? Do you know that's where I met Ed Milet and Tim Grover and all the big people in the world I met on that stage. From that, those people go, he's in the club now. He can do this. His skill is strong enough to be at this table. That was life-changing for me. That's why I'll always be indebted to him. He didn't have to do that. Bill didn't have to put me on his stage today. Today I met 1,500 new people. I got new friends. I don't need more money, I need more people. And Bill opened the door for that exchange between you and I. From this, we can experience a quantum leap. And what if I told you you never try harder to have a quantum leap? Some of you are working as hard as you can work. You don't try harder to have a quantum leap. You try different to have a quantum leap. 7 years into being a basketball coach, I couldn't win a championship. I kept getting beat by the same person. I'd go home, I said, I'm gonna work harder. I'm already working 80 hours a week. I sat down with one person that had won 10 championships. You know what he said to me? Your schedule's not tough enough. You play weak teams. You beat those teams. Everybody tells you how great you are. He said, go back and schedule better people. You're going to get beat some. I went back and I dropped every bad team that I had. And I started playing the best teams in the world. And guess what? We got beat by some of those people. What did we do the very next year? We won a championship. Did I try harder or did I try differently? Some of you need to go back and add a new strategy. You need to add something new to the equation. You need to go back and add a new relationship. You need to add a new mindset. You need to add a new skill set. You don't need to try harder. You need to try differently. So as we come down the home stretch here, here's the concept that I want to leave you with and ask you this big question. What is your big table? What is the big table for you? See, I found my big tables. Coaching people, building greatness factory, raising capital. Took me a lot of years. And a guy asked me the other day, if you'd go back and do it again, what would you do differently? I'd have started raising capital earlier. I'd have started getting in bigger rooms faster. I would have started making bolder decisions quicker. I'd have started playing at a bigger table sooner in life. I didn't have to wait to 48 years old to do some of these things. It was in me at 35 to start doing some of these things. And I don't want you to make these decisions If you've ever given the eulogy at a funeral, and I've had to give several, I was proud that day to talk about all the things my grandfather had done, but you know I've given eulogies at some funerals that I didn't have anything to say. They lived 80-something years on planet Earth. They didn't pursue any big dreams. They didn't impact a lot of people. They didn't make any bold moves. They were good people. Do you know what it's like to give the eulogy at a funeral when you don't have anything to say except they were a good person? That ain't going to be you. When it gets to the end of your life, they're going to have a list. You're going to say, hey, this person helped thousands of people, and they did big things, and they made bold moves, and they were in the top 1% of the world, and they had it in them to activate that potential. The only thing they were missing was a good coach. I believe a good coach can change your life. Now, I'm going to be doing a breakout this afternoon at 1 o'clock. I would love to see that room completely full. So full that they got to come down. The fire marshal's got to come down there and say, you can't get them all in here. And I'm going to break down this afternoon the exact steps I take every single day to drive up the probability of winning. Step by step, exactly how I move. I'll have more time to break down some of these big table moves to show you how to parlay some of this stuff. And I live here in Nashville. It's one of the greatest cities in the United States. I will be here over the next day to 2 days. If you want to meet with me while I'm here, say hi, spend a minute, me look you in the eyeball. Let me hear about your future, how I can help you. Jana@coachburt.com. Just email her. And while you're here over the next day, I'm going to come back to the conference tomorrow. We can sit and talk. I'll sit up there and have a cup of whiskey with you. Okay? We'll sit and talk, and I just want to talk about your future. If you want to book a call with me and say, man, I want to talk to Coach Burt about my life, my future, my bigger play, what my big table is, book it with her. If you don't want to do the meeting while you're here, but if you're here and you want to meet with me, I'd love to look you in the eyeball and say congratulations on your bigger future. Everybody's got a big table in them, and I'm Coach Micheal Burt. God bless you guys. Way to start off the day today. Thank you so much. God bless you.